Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. We hope you are enjoying some nice weather, the final weekend of April, and everybody ready to roll into spring and summer. And a return guest, although it's been far too long, to Missoula Real Estate Today, Martin Bell. Martin is the owner of Bluejay Estate Sales. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Denny, and also Diane and the realtors. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. You're a terrific guest. Since it's been so long, let's get reacquainted a little bit, Martin. What is Bluejay Estate Sales, and what services do you offer?
Sure. Bluejay Estate Sales, that I own for 14 years, is an estate liquidation service. And it's not that somebody has always passed, but I am realtors and clients need somebody to liquidate the contents, the personal effects of a home. Everything from the macaroni and cheese to the Mercedes. So often to prepare the home for resale. So I sell down the contents inside so the realtors and the family can then choose to do what they want with the property itself.
Your background, how did you get in the biz?
Well, once upon a time. This actually came from another business I had for about 8 years. We handled more specialty items. We kind of were pickers. We handled a lot of mid-century and Art Deco items that we would find and buy locally and sell to the open market literally around the globe. So we went from kind of a specialty wants-based business to this needs-based business of general content. So I went from specializing to generalizing.
And explain what an estate sale is and how it differs from, say, an auction or, general garage, yard, or warehouse type sale.
Sure. An estate sale, out west in rural America, traditionally you would have an auction, a farm auction. People would gather and have an auction. Estate sales a little bit stemmed from cities where there were just some logistical challenges of being able to do that, and people would come to the property. So basically, I turn a house into a store, and the items are priced in the house. Large items would have a pull tag. Small items are priced or unpriced. Specialty items of value would be brought out to the cashier's table. And so we basically have a 2 or 3 day event where after the marketing, people come and buy what they need, and we sell it down for the clients and help get the contents close to the finish line so that the realtors can do what they need afterwards, if a realtor is involved.
Right. So it's primarily a pre-priced event. Do I have that right? Although there's probably a little room for negotiating, but
absolutely. It's a pre-priced event. The house is a store, and certainly within reason, we're happy to, if there's a large pile bought or this or that, I'm happy to work with people, and we have a good relationship, not just with realtors, but with the people we serve. But the buyers like to come to the sales. It's correctly priced and it's efficient, and it's a pre-priced sale, and it's priced so that people that had a good time last week will come this week.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Here on News Talk KGVO, my guest, Martin Bell, owner of Bluejay Estate Sales. Talk about the process a little bit, Martin. Somebody contacts you and they want to do an estate sale, obviously. What happens from there?
Sure. 8 out of 10 projects that we do now are reference sales. That is a realtor, an attorney, a bank, or just private individuals tell somebody, hey, Marty did a good job. And I'll get a phone call, and they'll explain whether it's just a downsizing, a transition, or if they've lost somebody. And case in point, I just walked in to your show, sir, and somebody from Bozeman reached out to me.
Oh.
And so they will call and say, hey, we may need the content sold. I would book a time to walk through to see the scope of the project, kind of the quantity, quality, and complexity. I'll look around, And then I'll stress about parking, because parking, a lot of people come to a Bluejay sale, which is what you need. You need enough people to come there.
Oh, absolutely.
And we'll look around and we'll pick a fair commission together. I'll walk them through my costs so they can feel part of the process. And that's what happens. If we can be of service to the client, we then do all the marketing, hard copy paper, digital papers, so many of the social media feeds, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Craigslist, ad nauseum, infinitum. And, but it all drives to our website, bluejaystatesales.com, which was designed by Gecko Design here in Missoula. And we have about 1,300 folks in the email list. The photos and the maps and a brief description of each sale is on there. And people can look and plan of the things they want to go buy.
So if the two of you can reach an agreement, the phone call you just got, does that mean a road trip to Bozeman? Have Bluejay will travel, or do you try to do all of that online?
Sure. 80% of what we do is local. It's about 40% Missoula County, 40% the Bitterroot, and about 20% we call them the road shows. Mm-hmm. It could be St. Regis, it could be Bozeman, Belgrade.
Okay.
So on that case, I'd have them, usually in Western Montana, I can just zip in and look around. I will be in Arlee later today because it's close to go look at a project. But if they're out of the area, I'll usually have them send me pictures if they can, just so that's a long way to go in case it didn't work out. So that's what would happen there. They would send me pictures if they're far away. Locally, I'll just pick up the phone, schedule a time, and drive to see you.
Yeah, and when you say locally, you just defined a pretty broad territory, really, for being local. That's good. And I'm sure it depends on how many items are involved, but what is a typical setup and preparation time that goes into a sale? What all do you have to do once you've reached an agreement with the person? Then you got to get it in gear.
Yeah, I got to get off the sofa and get the dogs off me. One thing that as we become more and more of a service industry partner to realtors and clients, we've kind of deconstructed this process. We keep our footprint super light. The most important thing is the marketing. 2 weeks of marketing out there in the world, the virtual world. We are generally set up to actually be on. We try to be on the property the day of the sale with the pricing team, and we price it the day of the sale generally, and then run the sale that evening, usually 6 to 8 at night. From about April till about October because of the daylight, and we do it in the evening so folks can get off work.
Yeah.
And the next day we'll run 9 to noon historically. That's when the real buying time is there. But we actually try to be there after the meeting. I try to stay away unless I'm needed until sale day, so that our footprint is super light for the client. They don't have people in their house for 2 weeks if they're dealing with the grieving process or, figuring out who gets what. We try to stay out of the way. I'm just a tool for the clients, just a tool for the realtors, and my job is to do the little things so the big thing, which is usually the real estate sale, can happen.
I think you're downplaying that a little bit, though, aren't you? Because obviously there are some featured items at any size sale you go to that you want to make absolutely sure that prospective buyers who come to the estate sale, you don't want them to miss that. So I would think that that key there's some key merchandising strategy in there that you're being modest about. I think I'm humble and grateful this crazy business I've had. I don't want to jinx it after 15 years.
Right. If there's items of exceptional value or exceptional interest, they will be featured. We make sure that is noted in the words. We make sure those things are noted in specific photographs, and we'll get those properly researched. And to that point, if we find items of exceptional value, we actually will recuse ourselves from that and refer the client to maybe to a third-party provider who we think could maybe do a better job on the open internet market globally. And case in point, we often share a story or two. I don't know if we can cut to the chase yet, but again, if there's items of exceptional interest, we will make sure they stand out. But we've done some pretty amazing items that we have gotten out of the house for the client, and they could then sell it through a third-party provider. Kind of antique roadshow stuff. That's been kind of fun to say, hey, you have this. You didn't know you had this. That way we can get it to the market that can understand what to pay for.
Yeah. Which I'm thinking the customer, that I guess that's a better opportunity to generate more revenue for a high-ticket item.
Right. And you do it, it's bottom line, that's the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. And also down the road, the folks that we can refer to will refer us. They may go in and grab some fine items and say, hey, Bluejay can do the rest of this. And we all stay in our lane and we horse trade, and the client wins. I don't need to be a hero for items that need another home.
Right.
Plenty busy. And it's fun to share. And it's just, again, bottom line, Denny, it's the right thing to do.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate here on Newstalk KGVO. And my guest, Martin Bell, owner of Bluejay Estate Sales. I know you do your best to set some lead time guidelines and manage your customers' expectations, but are there times where you feel like maybe not necessarily at a moment's notice, but you, for whatever reason there might be, you need to get this going a little bit faster?
Oh, sure. Each client has a different need. Some folks they need it as quick as possible so that the realtor can do their magic. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they just need it done so they can have some closure. The families use their vacation to come into Montana. I work for so many folks out of the area. And so sometimes they need it yesterday. If there's sometimes tax payment deadlines or real estate deadlines, or the property has sold, and that's super common. The property has sold, and I've got to come in and do the Bluejay thing between the old owner and the new owner. But I've also done projects where it's been 2 or 3 years down the road. It's they aren't sure what they want to do, or they tried to VRBO it for a while, or there might be a litigation that ties it up. Yeah. So I've done them. My record was the day before. The client who inherited the family property didn't realize that if he didn't have all the items off the next day, he would lose them and be, I guess, penalized for the non-cleanup. I was at a sale on a Thursday morning. He reached out to me, and by Friday night we had, which is 36 hours later basically, set up a sale. So 36 hours was my record, but I did have a project that took over 3 years to finally come to land.
Gosh, so to add to the mirth of something like that, Martin, you still got to publicize and promote the event. That's a pretty narrow window of opportunity you're dealing with there.
That was super narrow. And what we found sometimes when you create urgency, we learn quite rapidly. The urgency has its own merits. And the quicker we did it, the more they came, because it seemed like a very interesting thing. Yeah, there you go. You can also market too long, and you kind of just lose the energy.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
totally
true in any venture. So we have found historically 10 to 14 days before a project is about right. Longer than that, people get bored.
Exactly.
Too soon, people can't make a plan. So there you go.
Finding that call to action sweet spot there, I think.
Well said.
These sales are often, conducted because they have to be, rather than because your customers want to. There's been a death in the family, as you referred to, financial hardship, et cetera. You have to be able to offer reassurance that your customer's estate will be handled with the utmost respect, right? That one-on-one relationship probably very, very important in your business.
And Denny, I think that's probably at the end of the day, I mean, everybody who has a business, hopefully beyond the exchange of the dollar, you're having some sort of human experience. And I had 2 or 3 kind of very people-oriented businesses before this. And honestly, stuff is easy. People are hard, and that's kind of what I do. I enjoy the connections that I have with the human beings. Sometimes it's a very There's a heavy grief component or a bittersweet component at the very least, even if they're excited to move to a new adventure, or again, if they've lost somebody. And I have as much fun connecting with that. I'm a people person in the stuff business. Them's the facts. So I enjoy that. In Montana, that's why I like Montana business. Though obviously it's changing. Montana is still a place where you do business because of the connections you make with the human beings, not because you have a big marketing arm.
Well, since we are doing a real estate show presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, what is Bluejay Estate Sales' relationship with, well, not just the Beck team, but realtors in general?
Sure. And Diane, years ago, as I began to kind of expand on this business, she was one of the very first Missoula realtors when she was the past president, reached out to me and about a project, and I've done a handful of projects for her team. And Diane, I showed up, I think it was on the bottom of the South Hills, and it was a nice home, and we had a good communication with Diane. Of course, she's an old pro, and I was just kind of finding my way, but I thought I could do a good job, and the client was happy, Diane was happy, and she knows that she could count on me to do what I said earlier. Do the job, stay out of the way, don't add layers of complication, and it's been a good relationship over time. I've had some stuff that I've gotten because of her references, and I am an affiliate member of the Missoula Organization of Realtors. I'm a service member, and so many of the realtors here in Moore know that they can count on me. And sometimes it's fancy mansions, sometimes it's mobile homes out in the flats, and I can kind of reinvent myself for the client's needs. So Diane was great, gave me a chance, and we've been working off and on ever since.
Oh, that's great. And excuse me, just to be clear, and that everyone understands, there does not have to be a realtor involved in a transaction. You work with people of all walks of life.
Yeah, realtors, it's not necessary. The data tells me the following thing: 8 out of 10 sales are reference-based, which is a good thing. Of that, about 60% are realtor reference, and the other 40% are either attorneys, banks, or just private individuals. So realtors don't have to be part of what I do. Sometimes there's no real estate transaction, and they just call me out of the blue. So often I work directly with a client, but more and more we have a realtor. Realtor is going to come on board once we do our magic, and I'm happy to, again, be part of that larger process. I just feel that that's the way that this business is going. At least the data tells me that there'll be a realtor on board, or a realtor will be on board. Mm-hmm. And so I really try to be part of that process for the client and the realtor.
Yeah. Are you working with them on behalf of their client, or is it kind of a three-way meeting where you try to get realtor and customer or a estate owner and you all together?
Good question. I'm actually contracted directly to the owner of the property. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm merely just an industry partner for the realtor, and so many realtors I work with, like me, they're willing to be that single point of contact for as much as they can for the client. The client's got everything from maybe the loss of a family member to who's going to blow out the sprinklers. And so many of the great realtors I work with are so good at just saying, hey, I'm your single point of contact, call Marty for this.
Yeah.
And then within that, I have single point of contacts as well. I have industry partners, and that's kind of become our thing. I know that's kind of a word salad, industry partners, but that's all I am for a realtor. I'm a tool the realtor can use. And I have tools that the client can use, clean out people, house cleaners. I have pro-grade cleaners. I've got simple broom clean, sweep it, clean out the oven cleaners. I've got scrap metal people we can refer you to, but I'm a single point of contact, if not for the client, but also the realtor, so they don't have to pick up the phone and guess. They can count on me to make sure all the moving parts can happen with as little trouble as possible for the realtor and the client.
So you're not a one-man show in that regard. You have it sounds to me like you have a pretty broad network of contract labor folks that you can make those kinds of arrangements with.
Yeah, and that's in a vacuum on a piece of paper. It would be perfect if we could truly be the one-stop shopping. Call me, and I've got all these people in my stable that work for me that do all this. That's great in theory, but in reality, you need to reach out to specialists. I know many realtors who were surveyors or contractors or home inspection people, and you can only get so broad before you lose quality of experience. Yeah. And over 15 years and almost 500 sales, and I say this gratefully, nobody has done more estate sales in Montana than me on-site estate sales, and I'm grateful for that. But I've learned some stuff, and you can't promise to do it all. You just will lose efficiency. And so the model we've run for several years is let me be the point of contact for these industry specialists elsewhere. And we roll right in on top of each other, again, to reduce the time. Yeah. And the client is getting a quality of each process, not a promise that then I got to scramble to fill. And I can't hammer on that any more today than, that's the truth.
Kudos to you, Marty. Manage those expectations, Yeah,
absolutely.
Under promise, over deliver. That's how they do it at Bluejay Estate Sales.
You do. You want the initial meeting to look like the back end experience, and to do that, I've learned reach out to pros who know how to do these other things, and that has become a real big thing that we do every week now. That's probably the big evolution in the last 3 years, I would say, sir.
Excellent. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate here on Newstalk KGVO. This week's guest, Martin Bell, the owner of Bluejay Estate Sales, and also a big thank you to Diane's marketing partners that help bring you Missoula Real Estate Today every weekend. Miles Link at Opportunity Bank of Montana and Rob Fleming at Man Mortgage. We've talked about this a little bit. One size does not fit all. You offer a variety of ways to conduct an estate sale. Can you talk more about the options available?
Sure. Not 9 times out of 10, we like to work on site for the client, and that's what the client wishes. Because if you move an item, you can move the items off site, and we can move them. And we have found that historically, if we cannot do the sale on site for logistical reasons or the client's wishes, no problem. We reach out to a third-party provider to pack it up, and we take it historically to the River Valley County Fairgrounds. Even if it's in Missoula, we did a project once. Half of the U-Haul came out of southern Canada. The other half filled up in Havre, and it landed down in the Bitterroot, and that was an awesome sale.
Oh, wow.
But we take it down there. It's actually a cost-efficient rental, and that has been historically a great location for auctions of the past. And so we can do it off-site if needed. We prefer to do it on-site to limit the costs for the client because I hate having to do that. Sometimes they have to. So on-site 80% of the time, off-site 20%, and those are really the two options we have. We don't feature an online purchasing option. It's just too complicated, even though I have well over 20,000 feedback, transactions online. We do it on-site is what we recommend, sir.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've got an excellent handle on your marketing platform for these. Your lineup of strategies, how you get the word out that you have an estate sale coming up.
Our marketing, and like everything, it's a little trial and error, and then you grab some data during the sale. Mm-hmm. This is the list. We run the Missoulian, the River Valley papers online. We're reaching out west of Missoula in the Valley Press, the Mineral Independent, plus their digital equivalents. So we cover the papers well. We then do Craigslist in 4 of the regions out here, the Butte region, East Idaho, Missoula, Kalispell regions, Instagram account, Twitter account, and a Facebook site. And all of those actually all lead to the website, of which we have, I think, as of this morning, just under 1,300 people on the email list. So all of that it generates everybody back to our website. And that seems to be, a lot of people tell me they don't even check the paper, this is interesting, or Craigslist, and they don't even sign up for the email list. They just have fun going back over and over again just to see if it's there. It's kind of that social media train.
Exactly.
They say it's just fun to check to see.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And I say, hey, sign up for the email list. And they go, oh, no, it's fun to see. So that's cool.
I'm sure you have some stories to tell. What are some of the more interesting or unique collections of items for which you've conducted estate sales?
Let's go back to the very first sale. I thought about this morning.
Yeah.
And this was almost a harbinger and maybe a signpost forward. Did a project, and we worked for the family out of Oregon in the Bitterroot. And they said, help us with our family's properties. And oh yes, there are some items in the Quonset hut. They had never checked them. The items in the Quonset hut happened to be the remainder of the Hugh Cummings estate out of Butte. Hugh was just a kind of a post-contemporary of Marcus Daly, big Butte business magnate, and there were amazing Butte items there. And he kind of uncovered his past. As his empire shrank, his stuff ended up there. And it was almost like Hugh said, hey, if you get me into the light of the day, I'll take care of you. He was a businessman and in Phillipsburg and Butte. And that was kind of fun to pull all that Butte stuff that had been lost from time in a Quonset hut on a side street in Hamilton.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. Last year, we discovered some photographs for a client. They knew they were down there. They were famous gold rush photographs taken by a famous photographer. They were the right photographs, right photographer. Part of this gentleman's collection was in the University of Washington Maritime Museum, but we found this huge other treasure trove, and we got that out to the third-party provider that I referenced earlier.
Yeah.
And those items went for easy 5 figures to a copper or tin magnate down in Australia who bought them on a global auction, and photographs of the gold rush.
Fascinating.
That was kind of cool to do. Just had a project here in Missoula, some well-known folks. And I know that a pair of pearl-handled revolvers went out. Ladies' revolvers went out in the open market for, they were very successful. Let's put it that way. So it's fun to. Those are some.
Just amazing. Yeah. How is pricing set for your services?
We're pretty sure we know what the local market will pay, and it is we price to sell. If a client has expectations beyond our belief that we can meet them, I will say I don't think I can be of service to you, but I hope they get those prices. I don't take it personal.
Right.
I know how the movie will end. Trust me. But it's priced to sell out of the gate. Okay. That's the honest truth. We tell the client that at the meeting. It's priced to sell. Your most motivated buyers are there first, and that's what we do. If people are nice and buy a pile, I'll work with them. If they buy a pile and they're mean, I won't deal with them. It's as simple as that.
My guest this week on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, has been Martin Bell. Did an awesome job as usual. If folks would like to get a hold of you at Bluejay Estate Sales, Martin, what's the best way to track you down?
406-363-1600. Or just go over to bluejayestatesales.com. You can leave an email, and there's a little box to have questions answered. And that's it. I work evenings and weekends because so many people have to do this outside their normal life. Something's dropped out of the sky. So a lot of weekend and evening when they can get away from their normal life. So not afraid of odd hours, not afraid to work a little bit.
Great job. Great to see you again.
Thank you for your time, Denny. And thank you, Diane Beck, and everybody at MOR, all the realtors who I've worked with the past year. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. For a complete directory of Diane's listings, visit movetomissoula.com. That's move2, Missoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.